Top 3 baits for early winter bass fishing. Guys, the temperatures are starting to cool off and winter is fastly approaching. I've got 3 baits that I'm going to share with you guys that I always have tied on the front of my boat that helps me catch a lot of fish during the early winter. I keep it very simple. I'm able to cover a lot of water with these 3 baits. I'm going to share them with you guys and it's going to help you catch a lot more bass. My name's Josh with Josh and Hunter's Adventures, and welcome back to the channel. All right guys, so let's talk about these 3 baits. We'll start with the first one here that I've got laid out, and that is going to be a swim bait. Now I've got 2 different ones that I'm going to share with you guys. I throw a smaller head, like a 1/4 ounce head, depending on, maybe I'm fishing somewhere just a little bit shallower, but I'm always going to have it paired up with like a 2.8 Keitech or a 3.3, but I really like that 2.8 in the winter time. It's just that smaller profile, and it's just a really good bait. Where I'm going to be fishing these swim baits is I'm going to get off on these points. I'm going to fish way off on the points and just gradually bring it off the points. Any steep rocky banks, a lot of flats. I fish a lot of flats in the early winter time, you know, moving into the creeks, maybe a secondary point, places like that. Like I said, I'm 90% of the time in the winter I'm throwing that color right there. It's really no secret. You guys that follow the channel have seen it. It's that Keitech Chartreuse Electric Blue. But so that is that, like I said, a 1/4 ounce. And then I'm going to have on a 1/2 ounce. So this is a little bit bigger head here. And you can see I've also got that Keitech, but this thing sinks like a rock, okay? And it will get down there. So maybe I'm fishing on a really long point. Maybe it's 30-40 foot deep. Well, you throw that out there and you're able to really get down deep in a hurry and keep it down there in that strike zone where you want it. A lot of times in the early winter, those fish will just barely stage right above that bottom level, okay? So if it's 40 foot, they might be in 37-35 foot of water. And if you bring it right over top of their head, good chance you're going to get bit with one of these. But like I said, it's the same bait. It's just a heavier head is all I like to do. So I keep like a 1/4 ounce and a 1/2 ounce. All right, so our next bait is going to be a blade bait. Now this is a Damiki. This is the Damiki Vault. And you know, years ago we used to have baits. They were called Silver Buddies. We used to make them out of lead. You know, we get our own blade and pour them, and I still do that. But now the colors and the paint on these new blade baits, for instance like this Damiki, I mean, it looks so good, and it's hard just not to throw these. They got very sharp hooks. Like I said, the paint looks really good. It's a really good bait. Now where I'm going to fish this is I'm going to get off on these banks a lot of times, on these 45-degree banks, on these rock banks, and I'm going to throw it and I'm going to let it hit the bottom, and I'm just going to pop it up, and I'm just going to work it back to me in like a yo-yo motion. Or a lot of times I'll throw it out there and just barely wind it, and this thing's got so much vibration coming through the water, you'll be able to feel it. One thing that I do is I throw it on a cranking stick. That's just what I like to throw it on. Always works well for me. Get really good hookups that way, because you know, it's just like a crankbait really. You got those treble hooks, you don't want to jerk it out of their mouth. But like I said, a lot of times I just throw it out, I let it hit the bottom, and then I just start working it back to the boat. Just lifting it up, back down, lifting it up, letting it fall back down. And as that bait pops up, it's just fluttering back down. You pop it up, it just flutters back down. It's a really good bait in the early winter. Like I said, it's that perfect profile of the shad that they're actually keying in on, which makes it really good, because like I said, you really want to match the hatch this time of year. And this is a really good bait. You catch a lot of bass on this. This one is the Damiki Vault. All right guys, last but not least, probably my favorite technique to throw in the early winter and really all winter long, and you guys that follow the channel have probably seen this bait a lot. This is a tightline, is what we call it here in my part of the country, but it's basically an 1/8 ounce head. Just a little small 1/8 ounce head. I pour these heads. It's a Do It Freestyle jig mold. I tie a loop knot. The loop knot is very important on this. Gives it a lot of room to move. It's got a really good hook. I pour them with Mustad hooks, and I use a Gulp just a gulp minnow right here is all it is, and I use, a lot of times it's just the smelt. I'll get one out and let you guys look at it. They're very strong smelling, so if you get some of these, just be aware they are very, very strong. But you can see it just looks like a little minnow there. Really, really good bait. I think these are the 3-inch. Yes, these are the 3-inch. I normally don't go down very much smaller. You can go down to like a 2-inch if they get really finicky. But this bait right here, basically the way you fish it is you're going to get on a 45-degree bank, chunk rock, something like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to stay at and cast at a 45-degree angle towards the bank. And when it bait hits the water, you'll click your bell over. I always throw it on a spinning rod. And you're just going to start shaking your rod tip and just barely reeling the handle. Just barely reel it and just shaking that rod tip. You want that rod tip bouncing. And what that does is that makes this bait, as it's falling, you want it just to pendulum back to the boat as it's coming down that bank. And as you're popping it, that bait's just barely popping along. And man, this is a fun bite, guys. It really is. I catch a lot of fish in the winter time, early winter, late winter, on a tight line. It's just a really, really good bait. But guys, that is my top 3. It's very simple. You've got a blade bait, swim bait, and the tight line. You guys can go out and fish this on any lake in the country and be able to catch a lot of bass on these 3 baits. All right, guys, there you have it. My 3 baits for early winter bass fishing. You've got the blade bait, you've got the Keitech, and you've got the tight line. All 3 of those baits will go out and catch you a lot of bass in the early winter or late winter. You can fish these all the way through into the spring. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave me a thumbs up. If you got any questions or comments, go down in the comment section and leave it. I'll be glad to answer them the best that I can. And remember, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. Until next time, this is Josh with Josh and Hunter's Adventures. Thanks for watching.